following video has been brought to you by theicebreaker.com.
Thank you very much, Dave, for having me here. I'm going to try a quick experiment. Do us a favor if you would name a card for us out loud.
Ace of spades.
7 of diamonds it is. Perfect.
Okay.
Got it again. All right.
Now it's an ace.
Now, it's interesting the relationship between magic and body language. Some things are hard to catch and definitely even more difficult to explain. However, what's really interesting is there's some things that are very easy, quite simple actually, once you know what to look for. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. We don't have a lot of time to talk about body language, so we're going to pick one specific topic, which is the introduction and the handshake. So for instance, if someone comes up to you at a Chamber of Commerce mixer and they have a fistful of their business cards or a fistful of flyers, it's obvious what their intention is. It's to deal their cards out as fast as possible, but the message they're giving is they're not necessarily interested in what you have to say. So think about that for a second. Now, it's what comes through our body language, our gestures, and our behavior is lots of things, but it's modified by our intentions, our control, fear, intimidation, lack of respect, and all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the different kinds of handshakes, but I'm going to need to borrow a hand to make this. Oh, perfect, fantastic. Had to throw that in there, Dave, The different kinds of handshakes reveal what someone's intention's all about. And it's amazing once you know what to look for, how black and white it really is. There are a few exceptions, but this is a few of the basics. For instance, this is the underhand. If I put my hand out like this, not neutral, this is normal, this is fair, this is equal. But if I turn my hand slightly face up and receive your hand, this would actually convey to you a feeling of trust, that I'm there to listen to you, you like me, it feels comfortable because I've given you the control. And you just don't even realize in your subconscious why that feels so good. A lot of politicians do this. Well, Dave left. On the opposite hand is this. If I was to reach out and grab your hand face down and take your hand, believe it or not, it's a very controlling behavior. I'm saying to you, I'm dominant. I don't care what you have to say. I get the last word. Men and women have different things that kind of tend to happen within gender. Thank you very much. For instance, this one right here, I call this the teacup because it looks like you're drinking tea. This one is really interesting to me because for men and women, it's completely different psychology. This is weird. If women are doing this in business, you got to lose this habit because we're not at the theater. This is business, and you want to have equal terms, so you want to do everything equal. Men, however, this is a very interesting one. If you catch a man doing this to you, it may mean a couple things, but one thing, it's a high signal of a gentleman actually hiding something. That's what the signal is really representative of. Here's a few ones that men do. This one's really interesting. You've probably all witnessed this one. I know you have. The finger crusher, right here, and the hand crusher. Men who squeeze hands so hard that it hurts. And what's interesting about this, it's also a very dominating, controlling behavior. Watch out for them in business because they're projecting what they want. They want to control everything. And what's interesting is if you call them out on it, they'll say, oh, I don't know my own strength. Well, they're lying to themselves and you because they never do it to a woman. Think about that for a second. Here's a few more that are fun. The handshake that just keeps on going forever. You've all witnessed this one. And what's interesting about this is it comes across from the guy, you're like, God, I really like this guy, but I hate him too. It's really interesting. What's interesting about the lingering handshake, especially when you don't know the person. If you know the person, it's different because it could just be you're comfortable and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so glad to see you, and it's just different, or starstruck. But if it's just in business, we're at a chamber mixer and someone's just shaking your hand and they won't let go, and they maybe even clench on with the other hand, it's not so much a physical dominance, it's an emotional and psychological control. So it's almost even more dangerous. So you have to just be aware of that. I know there's some of you going, oh my gosh, I do that. But it's not a big deal. We'll do a few more. The brush away, this one's actually kind of interesting. You're shaking hands with somebody, and at the end of the handshake, there's a subtle push away. A push away, literally, push away. That person is telling you they don't like you, they don't like your services, they don't like what you're pitching. So just pick up on those subtle little tells. Let's see, this is a good one. This is probably, I don't want to say the cockiest, but this is probably the rudest kind of handshake, the hesitation. The person comes in for a handshake. I look at it, I wait about 2 to 3 beats. And I grant you with my handshake. That's a very psychologically controlling person. The person who does that to you, don't even bother pitching your services unless you're going to hypnotize them to think otherwise, because they only will get the last word, period, end of story. How much time we got? 7 minutes?
That's right.
7?
Actually, about 10 seconds.
About 10 seconds. All right. Well, there's not a lot of time to cover a whole lot. I will just say 2 quick tips. When you're shaking hands with someone who's sitting, the person who's sitting must stand up, and you always make eye contact with shaking. There are a deck of cards on every single table. On the back of them, there is not a circle or a dot. You don't win anything, but you can fight over it and see who gets the deck of cards. Thank you very much. I'm Rich Ferguson.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
Visit my official site at theicebreaker.com.